Have you ever found yourself doing something knowing deep down it wasn't the right thing to do? Well, today we're going to break down this really powerful model that explains the 4 states of moral choice we all move through. And the key thing here is these aren't fixed labels of good or bad. They're dynamic states we all shift between, sometimes moment to moment.
I mean, it's a feeling we all know, right? That really frustrating gap between what we believe and what we actually do. We know what the right call is, we can feel it clear as day, but for some reason, we just don't do it. So what's really going on in our heads in that moment? Let's make this real. Picture this. You're in a meeting and a teammate is getting unfairly blamed for something. Your gut is just screaming, "This is wrong, say something." But then this other little voice pipes up, whispering things like, "Hey, don't make waves," or "It's not your battle," or "Just keep your head down and stay out of it." And poof, the moment passes and you've said nothing. That hesitation, that gap, is exactly what we're going to map out.
Now, here's what's so powerful about this model. It doesn't frame that moment as some kind of permanent character flaw, like you're a bad person. No, it sees it for what it is, a predictable cognitive process. There's a system behind our moral choices, a series of internal steps that we can actually understand and maybe even change. Okay, so before we can even make a choice, we need to have that moment of clarity. But where does that sense of right and wrong even come from? It's not some magic voice from the clouds. This model suggests it comes from 2 places that are available to every single one of us. So on one side, you've got your internal awareness. That's your conscience. It's that gut feeling you get, that internal ping that tells you something's off. And on the other side, you've got external reality, the real observable consequences out in the world. You can literally see the harm being caused. Moral clarity hits you when what you feel inside clicks perfectly with what you see happening outside. And this just nails the point, right? You don't need some high and mighty authority figure to tell you that insulting someone is a bad thing to do. That moral compass is built in. You know what's wrong because your conscience tells you, and you can see the destructive results with your own 2 eyes. All right, so clarity arrives. Your gut feeling and the reality on the ground are perfectly aligned. You know the truth. What happens next? Well, that's when your decision-making process kicks into gear, and this model breaks it down into a really simple 2-stage flow. It all starts the second you recognize a moral truth. Right then, you face choice number 1. Are you going to cover it up, rationalize it away, or are you going to let it stand, uncovered? If you let it stand, you're immediately hit with choice number 2. Are you going to act against that truth, or are you going to act in a way that protects it? These 2 choices create 4 very different states of mind. The first state, and this comes from a Quranic framework for human behavior, is called Kufr. Now listen, this isn't about being ignorant. It's the exact opposite. This is the active mental work of taking a truth you see crystal clear and deliberately burying it. It's like you see the evidence and you actively throw a blanket over it, pretending it doesn't exist. Now, the flip side of covering it up is Iman. This is the act of just letting the truth be true. You see it, you recognize it, and instead of fighting it, you let it stand uncovered in your mind. You acknowledge its validity. Think of it as a cognitive commitment, and it's the jumping off point for what you do next. Okay, so here's where it gets tricky. Just because you're in a state of Iman, you've accepted the truth, doesn't mean you'll actually follow through. That state of acting against what you know is right is called Fusuq. It's when you basically say, yep, I know this is the right thing to do, but I'm going to do the opposite anyway. It's a conscious betrayal of your own clarity. And finally, there's Taqwa. This is when you not only accept the truth, but you actively protect it with your actions. It's all about self-regulation. Think about all that pressure from your colleagues, from your own ego, pushing you to just stay quiet. Taqwa is the act of holding the line and aligning what you do with what you know is right. So you've got these 4 states: covering a truth, accepting it, betraying it, or protecting it. Now let's see how this plays out with some common behaviors to really see how these internal processes show up in the real world. So the Quran, in chapter 49, actually calls out behaviors like these as clear violations. When we mock someone or slap a degrading label on them, we're not just being mean. According to this model, we're in a state of Fusuq. We are knowingly betraying a truth we've already accepted, that every person deserves a basic level of respect. But how do we get ourselves to betray what we know is right? We tell ourselves a story. We create a rationalization to make it okay. And a classic one is leaning on group identity.
We might tell ourselves something like this, basically creating a loophole that says our moral rules don't apply to them. And here it is, the crucial link. That justification, that story, that's the tool you use for kufr. It's the excuse we invent to cover up the clarity we started with. We know in our gut that degrading people is wrong, but this little story gives us the psychological escape hatch to ignore that truth. This table just lays it all out perfectly. Look, all 4 states start with clarity. The first fork in the road is acceptance. Do you cover it and enter a state of kufr, or do you uncover it and enter Iman? If you choose Iman, you hit the second fork, action. Do you betray it and fall into Fusuq, or do you protect it and rise to Taqwa? Okay, now we're at what is probably the single most important insight from this whole model. These 4 terms, they're not permanent labels you can just slap on people. They are temporary states that we all move between. And, this isn't some abstract idea pulled from thin air. This framework lines up perfectly with stuff we already know from psychology. That really uncomfortable, squirmy feeling you get when you're in a state of fusuq, that's literally cognitive dissonance, when your actions and beliefs don't match. And taqwa, that's a perfect description of moral self-regulation, the ability to control your impulses to stay true to your values. This is the huge shift in thinking we need to make. We're so used to using these kinds of words as fixed identities, putting people in boxes. But this model says, no, let's look at the process. It's not about being a sinner. It's about the momentary act of betraying a truth. It's not about being righteous. It's about the ongoing, moment-by-moment act of protecting truth. And what that means is that any of us can be in any of these states. You're not stuck. You could be in a state of fusuq, betraying a truth 1 minute, and in the very next, you can recognize that and choose to act with taqwa to protect that exact same truth. It's a fluid map of our choices, not some rigid judgment of our character. So I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on. Think about the last time you faced a really tough moral choice. When that moment of clarity arrived, what did you do with it? Did you cover it up? Did you accept it but then betray it? Or did you find the inner strength to protect it? This isn't about judging ourselves, but about understanding ourselves better and hopefully helping us grow.